नमः सर्वेभ्यः. So संस्कृत दिवसस्य शुभाशया. So we really had some brilliant expositions and brilliant deliberations on the different aspects of Sanskritam by our previous speakers, Shashikant ji, Preeti, Vasundhara, and Vandana. So all of them, they spoke from different angle, the different aspects of the language. For me, Sanskritam has been an integral part of my life right from the beginning, right from my childhood. But I'm more looking for those materials in Sanskritam which can inspire, not only can inspire others, those are the materials which have inspired me in presenting Sanskritam or having a deeper understanding of Sanskritam from a very practical and from a very deeper spiritual point of view, yogic point of view. So that is why my approach has always been a yogic approach towards Sanskritam. So every aspect of Sanskritam that one explores, or whatever aspect one explores, there one finds limitless materials. There is no end to the wonders of this language, whether one is looking at it from the phonetics point of view, from the syntax point of view, from the semantics point of view, from the point of view of its connection with other languages of the world, not just of India, from the literature point of view, from the thought content point of view. Every aspect of it has much things to contribute towards, I put it, towards the progressive evolution of the humanity. It's a language through which India has been giving expression to its soul, to its much vitality, its dynamism. And merely linking Sanskritam with religious or ritualistic aspects, merely linking it with the past, merely linking it with some community, it doesn't give a picture of the entire language. Rather, it shows our own narrowness and meanness, that we have not been able to understand the deeper depths or the higher heights of this language. Practically, it helps in various aspects of our life. Whether one takes the wise sayings, how these inspired words of the seers and sages, uh, they have a tremendous impact on our day-to-day life. The simple subhashitas that we learned, they became our guiding lamp on the way. Constantly, or whenever we face situations in life, those difficult situations, or any problem, or any uh, dilemma, so those are the sayings of the seers and sages which keep coming to the front and help us what should be our attitude in a particular situation, what should we do in life. So Sanskritam is very much, it's a life transforming language. It has immense transformative power. Only one has to keep oneself open to it, not asking too many unnecessary questions. Like Vasundhara pointed out that immediately, like today, you go to the social media, the moment the same thing happens, like when we put something, something really beautiful about Sanskritam, either on Twitter or Facebook. There are a lot of, you know, unhappy souls there, unhappy and ignorant souls. We should be more compassionate towards them. So immediately they will put, like Vasundhara put it very rightly, that he she felt sorry about the person, that, you know, someday she should be illumined about, and so much of ignorance about one's own culture, about one's own tradition, about, I mean, these are the unhappy souls. So they don't know, they don't have any life's purpose. They don't know why they have come to this world. They're just unhappy, wandering, bhatakta hua, souls. So one day, I think Sanskritam will come back to help them, uh, changing their mindset, and I'm at least, like, hopeful about it. So linking it with, like, what is the relevance of this language in this modern world, I say that, like, why are we thinking just in this time? Sanskritam is such a language that it has its relevance, it had its relevance, it has its relevance, and it will maintain its relevance, it will have its relevance forever, for ages together, because it's a language which is eternal, universal language, a planetary language. So from a, it can be, viewed from the most materialistic point of view, up to the deeper spiritual point of view. So as from any point of, from any stand that we evaluate this language, it will have, like, one will get convinced, one will have this feeling that here is a brilliant language. And it is a sad fact that in India, our children, the young generation, they grow by being ignorant about such a treasure. In education system, yes, there are, certain changes which are coming up, but do the changes, are the changes going to bring any huge impact? No, because at the policy level also, what is being done is just a consolation. There is not, real justice has not been given to Sanskritam and the Indian culture, its heritage. And I'm talking especially about this language. So we don't need just a consolation. There must be a radical change, a complete paradigm shift, if we really want to gain maximum from this language. And this language alone has the power to uplift, to uplift India. I mean, India has always been this Vishwa Guru. I mean, we say that India should become the Vishwa Guru, but India is Vishwa Guru. It has all etad desa prasutasya sakashadagra janmanaha swam swam charitram shiksheran prathivyam sarvamanavaha. So how ancient is this verse? It says that the whole world, the people of the whole world, rest of the world will learn their own charitra, the good charitra, from the people who are born here. So even to take birth on this land is a great virtue, is a great, one should feel fortunate enough to be born in India. And here we are talking about the very language of this nation. India not only has been contributing in this language, using this language as a medium of expression, or using this language as a medium to give expression to different knowledge system, whether one talks about the yoga, Ayurveda, or any kind of literature, or the scientific literature. But the real importance and practical value of Sanskritam lies in the fact that how it trains the mind, what kind of impact that it has on the human consciousness. When we contemplate purely on the phonetic part of it, we see the purity of the vibration of the sound, Sanskrit sound, the rhythmic aspect of it, the melody, the musicality of it. So, what kind of impact it has on our nervous system? What kind of impact it has on our the most physical body? Also, like how it is impacting our emotional and sensational being, how it is bringing clarity into the mental level of consciousness. So it is not merely a language like other languages. It is not merely a language, and when we are approaching Sanskritam to learn it, so there also the approach must be not just to learn it as a language, but we must approach it from a different point of view, from a higher point of view, that it is much more than a language. What the other languages cannot do, what impact the other languages cannot make, unless and until those languages are raised by someone, by some rishi, by some higher being. Till then, the Sanskritam is one of the, Sanskritam is the best language that is available to us, which will have a direct impact on our consciousness and which will not only have the impact, but which will help us in our evolutionary journey. There is a beautiful, but here one more thing which I want to say from a very deeper yogic spiritual point of view. This is something what fascinates me when we read, say, Patanjali's Mahabhashya, or when we read Panini's Ashtadhyayi. Patanjali in his Mahabhashya says a very beautiful thing. So he says, uh, there is a beautiful dialogue that you can see, because there is Purva Paksha and the Uttar Paksha and the Siddhanta Paksha. The disciple asks and the Guru answers, although he is the same person playing the different roles. So there is a statement in Patanjali's Mahabhashya, which is a commentary on Panini's Ashtadhyayi, which says, Eka Shabda Samyak Jnata Suprayukta Swarge Lokecha Kamadhuk Bhavati. It means that one word, when it is learnt properly and used properly, properly means consciously, it will yield its result here and hereafter, wherever, like this soul can manifest in whatever condition, in whatever place. So it will yield, it will have its impact. And Patanjali, a rishi like Patanjali says, Ekas Shabda. One doesn't even need to know so many words, the entire Shastra, but one word. But know it perfectly. It is not just merely, not just learning the language or the vocabularies or certain Shastras, but to know it consciously and deeply. Eka Shabda, just one word, knowing it, feeling it, and understanding the deeper fundamental experiences associated with that sound, coming in contact with the whole holistic experience that the word carries. So one feels uplifted, one feels enlightened, and as if a truth has been revealed, certain aspect of the truth has been revealed too. And then the point is, this revelation can create some, exalted feeling. One feels happy, that state of eureka, that yes, I got it. I am entering into some kind of, state, different state. But that truth has to be lived. That truth has to be lived properly. Now, therefore, Patanjali, I can give you one example like how this one word can bring a change, can give us a deeper understanding, can give us a deeper understanding to our, you know, uh, to help us realizing the truth behind it. Say, for example, take someone's name. Someone's name is something. We take, say, for example, the name of, uh, uh, say, someone's name is Karuna Sagara. Karuna Sagara. Karuna means compassion, kindness, and Sagara is the ocean. So the meaning of this name is one who is the ocean of the treasure trove of karuna, compassion. Now just imagine if that person carrying this name understands this meaning and organizes every aspect of his life around this truth, because that name, very name, the meaning of his very name is the very purpose of his life, that he is the Karuna Sagara. He is the ocean of Karuna, ocean of compassion. So now it will definitely bring a change in the character of that person. If he is organizing every aspect of his life around this truth and then living the truth behind his name. So that one word can become a life changer. So this way, when we try to understand each and every word in Sanskritam, Sanskritam is where a language where each and every word is conscious of its own history. Not only that, it is conscious of its own history, it can also help discovering the history of others, other languages, not only other languages, but it can help us discovering the fundamental experiences of humanity. And when we contemplate on the fundamental root sounds and the fundamental experiences associated with the root sounds, then this language becomes relevant forever. Becomes relevant forever. So this is where lies the secret of this language, this the power of this language. And another thing is that this language, we call it as sculpted to perfection. Actually, there is no end to perfection, but it keeps perfecting itself because it has a mechanism of its own that it keeps perfecting itself. It keeps recreating itself, rejuvenating itself. Nothing, no force, no energy can bring any harm to this language. That's the strength and that's the power of this language. That nothing in the world can do any harm to this language. However, people try it because they cannot, because it has a different mechanism, because it operates at a different level, and it is completely in harmony with the laws of the nature. As a nature cannot be destroyed, so this language cannot be destroyed because it is absolutely in harmony with the laws and processes of the nature. It's an organically grown language that makes it relevant forever. That makes it relevant forever. Now, coming to the sustenance and the propagation and promotion of this language, there have been tremendous amount of effort in the last 10 years, we can say. What has happened in the field of Sanskrit was never there before, 10 years, 10, 20 years before. So slowly, there is this acceptance for this language. People are slowly realizing the value of it, importance of it. People are trying to give it to their children. Many people feel even like what they have missed in their education, their children should not miss. So they make effort to bring it to the children. They try to what do you call, learn by themselves and teach their children. There have been tremendous amount of effort using technology, how this language can be brought to the youth of India, because youth is completely open to the mm, technology part. And in this modern world, when we are trying to propagate or promote using the digital platform, there are of course limitations, but that is the future. There lies the future. So technology and Sanskritam, they have to go hand in hand. Then only we can bring Sanskrit to a wider platform and then connect it with the youth of India and youth of the entire world who are open to India, open to the Indian culture, Indian ideas, Indian the Sanatana Dharma. So that's how the technology will help us immensely in doing that work, in achieving that work. So keeping that in mind, a little bit of my personal contribution that I have been, doing it, that in uh, uh, 2013, I initiated this whole platform called Divyavani Sanskrit Radio. Divyavani Sanskrit Radio, which is the world's first ever 24 by 7 radio, which has a reach in almost 160 countries. On a daily basis, people access it, learn it, and all those who are viewing this also can access to it. And then see 24 hours, anytime you switch on, you will find some program in pure Sanskritam. No other language is used in this platform. Reconnecting the language to the children, because we need to create a completely different generation. So children have to learn this language, and to bring it and connect it to the children, the teaching pattern also has to change. We cannot teach the children, today's children or today's youth, Sanskritam the way we were taught. So a radical change has to come at the pedagogy level, at the curriculum, preparation of the textbook, and the teaching methodology. So the innovation aspect in language teaching, especially Sanskrit teaching, is a completely missing in our country. There has not been a proper teachers training, innovative teachers training program, centralized teachers training program, and it is sad that we have thousands and thousands of teachers, but there is no proper teachers training program. By teachers training program, I do not mean that some B.Ed program and some practical, or how do you teach the syllabus, how do you make lesson plans, and how do you do classroom demonstration or anything. But by teachers training means like a deeper understanding of why one is a teacher, and then that's again linking to the Sanskrit teaching, and then what kind of innovative ways that a teacher can have, bringing Sanskrit in a very different, engaging, and interesting way to sustain the interest of the children, of the youth, or the learners, or the seekers, and then teach Sanskritam from a very different point of view. So then it has certain impact. It has certain impact on the learners. So from that point of view, also, like, my little effort, that here the host Language Curry itself has come out with this application called Language Curry apps. So it's a very engaging way of, anyone who is acquainted with technology will agree with me that you see what kind of pedagogy we have adopted in creating this application, and then bringing Sanskrit teaching to every one of you who is willing to learn Sanskritam through application, that you find here a very interesting, innovative way of learning Sanskrit. So the same way that when we come to the curriculum aspect, you can see the kind of Devabhasha books that we have created at Set MR Jaipuria School. So, which is perhaps the one and only mainstream schools with the ICSE board, which has Sanskritam right from the preschool to class 8 and compulsorily. So there anyone can visit the school and then find that little children are communicating in Sanskrit. So the teachers do not speak, the Sanskrit teachers communicate in Sanskrit. So that's a beautiful environment which has been created by the whole aspiration of the founders of the management of that school. So these are little small efforts at also my Sri Aurobindo Foundation for Indian Culture. We have been trying through the Samskrita Bala Sahitya Parishad creating lots of qualitative, innovative children's literature using simple Sanskrit through stories, through rhyming songs, and through vocabulary building books and games and activities. So, how do we bring Sanskritam to a larger section and especially to the youth and the children? So, in this manner, like if many individuals who are working for it and then many organizations who are working towards this, if we collaborate, we come harmoniously, then we can do a lot of work taking Sanskrit to a greater height. And I'm very, very happy that this uh, event is happening on a very auspicious day. Today is Raksha Bandhan. This is the in our parampara. It is the day of initiation, and it is the Raksha Bandhan day. It is the Shravana Purnima, and it was the right thing which was decided to have the Samskrita Vishwa Samskrita Divasa, the World Sanskrit Day, on this day. So, and hundreds of programs, thousands of programs are taking place during this 1 week. So get connected with all kinds of programs wherever you all have interest. So the point is to get connected with Sanskrit. Whether this organization does, that organization does, this person does, that person does, it doesn't matter. But our purpose should be Sanskritam. So getting connected with Sanskritam means getting connected with the very soul of Bharata. Getting connected with Sanskritam also means getting connected with the language of our own soul. Sanskritam has immense power to create that self-awareness and lead us towards the self-realization, because it's a language of self-realization, a language of freedom, a language of mantra, a language of consciousness, and a language which has immense transformative power to bring a radical change in human consciousness, leading the humanity on its evolutionary journey. With these words, I say Dhanyavada to all of you, and let's be in touch, be in touch with Sanskritam. That's the sole purpose. That should be the one purpose of all of us coming together. Dhanyavada.